Morning, everybody. You're welcome to the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu, the first for the week, today being Tuesday. Okay, so tomorrow, Chinedu will be here for Dear Bumi. Chinedu is a very interesting guest to have. So he'll be here for Dear Bumi. And on Friday, we're going to have, on Thursday, we're going to have Tony Payne. Tony Payne is in town, since he came in over the weekend from the US. Of course, most of you will know Tony Payne and Nice. Yeah, remember Nice, yes. So Tony Payne is in town. That will be on Thursday. Then on Friday, we are going to have Jimi Disu. Yep, my cousin. He owns Pop Club, and he's doing this thing on plastics, managing plastics. Plastics, a big worry for the whole world. Disposal of plastics become a big worry to the point that even Lagos State government had to ban the use of what do they call it now? Was it single plastics? Whatever it is, we'll sort it out on Friday. So that's what we have for the week. Today we are going to talk about aviation. Because the thing about aviation is that some of you will want to switch off your radios and go away and say to yourselves, well, I know the flight go anywhere. No. Remember that thing up there in the sky? It could drop on, God forbid, but it could drop on your head. So you need to take more than a passing interest in the things of aviation, because, like I said, even if you feel that you don't travel, and I can tell you, quite a lot of us now haven't. I try not to travel local. I travel international, not because I feel it's safer, but because I have no alternative. I'm not likely to want to go to the UK the way my parents brought me home in 1959 on a boat and for 2 weeks. That's not likely to happen. So we are going to talk aviation, and I have with me Dr. Olumide Onwayo of the Aviation Roundtable. He's the General Secretary of the Aviation Roundtable, and I think the name speaks for itself. Olumide is a regular here. I like to post with him that he's an in-house consultant on aviation. But so that my friend is not too jealous, he knows I can't mention his name. My other friend, who is also a consultant on aviation matters. Then we also have Dr. Alex handwriting. Wuba. And he's the President Aircraft Owners Association. Morning, Alex. How are you?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show once again.
We have him on Zoom, so it might not sound the same way as clear as we are. Olumide, how now?
Fine. Good morning, listeners.
I was worried. Well, not worried. We're going to look at both the issue of Air India and also this back and forth going on with Air Peace and Oshomole, and then Air Peace and FC, what do they call it now? FCCPC or something like that.
Okay.
Anyway, let's take the Air India issue first. Can you enlighten us? What do you think happened with the Air India case? The list that we know for now. I mean, it won't be exhaustive. It won't be. It's just to get your own feel of what went down there.
Can I defer that to Alex?
Can you defer that to Alex?
Yes, please.
This is like a political campaign. When the presidential candidate was asked a question, he said that, well, to show that Sheriff will answer that question. Alex will answer that question. Alex, so tell us now, what are your thoughts on what went down with the Air India issue?
Thank you for asking the question.
Yeah.
So that we have a balanced operation. When you do ask me a difficult question, I will also be allowed to defer
to him. Oh, Sheriff is here. He's a moving encyclopedia.
But what we know so far was that the aircraft was a Boeing 787, one of the most sophisticated aircraft that exists in the world today. It's a very large aircraft, carries over 200 to 250 passengers on each flight, operated by Air India. We know that the airplane has been basically incident-free. And so for this accident to occur, there's a word incident and then accident. For this accident to occur that killed so many people is a surprise to the world. And I will get into a critical question later as to how Boeing and Airbus view the circumstances around this quite differently. But what we know is that the airplane got to the runway, put maximum power, went down the runway, and when it attained flying speed, the pilot raised the nose, the airplane went up in the air and climbed up to 650 feet, and all of a sudden started to descend. The question then becomes, why did it descend? And when it descended on a building that was also a medical school and medical facility where people were there. The students had gone to the lunchroom, so there were not so many in the office on the higher floor, so the deaths were minimized there. But this airplane crashed into that building, just descended purely into that building and killed everybody of the 242 passengers on board but one. There's speculations. Some people say that the guy jumped out, and when they call me to say he jumped out before the accident, I remind them there is no provision in aviation for people to jump out of airplanes. So when we think about safety and why do people jump out or don't jump out, or why don't they wear a parachute and jump out, that provision does not exist in commercial aviation.
Okay, I need to get clearance on what you said. Did he descend or did he drop?
So the
airplane?
Yes.
No, he descended.
The airplane stopped flying, and when it stopped flying, and so let me get into aerodynamics. The airplane will reach a speed that allows the wings to create lift. So at that speed, the airplane will start to climb into the air. What it uses to achieve that is the power of the engines. And so you get to a point where so it is speed and power. When you get to in this case, we got to a place where those wings were no longer flying. And so the only thing the airplane can do is descend. And that is what happens when you are also landing, is that you reduce engine power so that the wings become less efficient at flying and begin a descent. So that was a descent, but that was an uncontrolled descent, because a landing is an uncontrolled descent. A joke in aviation is that every landing is an escape. Every landing was a descent. So this was a descent when the airplane should be flying. The question is, why did it descend? And that is what they are listening to the flight parameters in the black box to determine what were the conditions that caused it not to climb, but to descend. That is what we know so far. So some theories are, somebody did not deploy the flaps at takeoff or accidentally remove them during the climb. That is one theory. Some theories are the first officer who was told to raise the landing gear, because typically if you fly, the minute the airplane goes into the air, you raise the landing gear to clean up the airframe of the aircraft so that they can climb more easily and more efficiently. But at 600 feet, these landing gears were still up, and the flaps were not where they were supposed to be. And so it is flaps that add to the curvature of the wings that allows the airplane to climb, the wings to be much more efficient and allow the airplane to climb. Those flaps were not there. One of the other things is that the rotation speed, the speed at which you lift the nose up from the aircraft, it's about 150 miles per hour. So at 150, once the airplane attains 150 miles, that's why you need a runway, a long running way. You need that runway to gain that speed. Once you've gained that speed, the efficiency of the flaps deployed will allow the airplane to rise up in the air, but they were not there. So the efficiency was gone. The question is, why were they not there, and why was the landing gear down? So one theory is that the first officer, and we will blame the first officer, because the truth is that who flies the airplane is decided between the captain and first officer. It is not the captain that flies all the time. Sometimes it's the captain that flies, sometimes it's the first officer that flies, and the second person backs them up. We're also reaching a world where we say there will be no first officer, no captain, and the computer would fly the airplane. That is what I will talk about when I talk about the philosophy of Boeing and the philosophy of Airbus.
I won't be part of that.
Well, Jimmy, you're probably not one of those that won't be part of when you hear a lady's voice on the cockpit say, "Welcome aboard, this is your captain."
No, the day that happened to me, She didn't say welcome on board. When we landed in Heathrow, she came out of the pilot's cabin and I said, "Is this the lady that flew?" But let me ask you something though. Do we have to be worried about aeroplanes manufactured by Boeing? Is there any hint of a worry? Reason being that, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I seem to get a sense that most accidents in recent times have been in Boeing planes. Is there any worry at all?
Thank you. That brings me to the point I wanted to make.
Yes.
In the design of aircrafts, you have two major players and a third one on the wing, the Chinese.
Yes.
You have Boeing, you have Airbus. Then there's some secondary. There's Embraer, there's Bombardier, etc. But the two major manufacturers are Boeing and Airbus. And what happens is that in their design philosophy, the design of the aircraft, Boeing believes that the supreme decision about the operation of the aircraft should be done by men and women. So basically, humans make the decision. Whereas in the Airbus philosophy, the design is that the machine is smart enough to make the final and most critical decision. So those decisions will be left to the machine. So what then happens in an emergency, in some of these critical situations, is that it's either people are going to make decisions and make errors, or machines will make the decisions and make errors. You cannot say absolutely which one is better. In the recent incident we've had, let me take the very famous MAX accident. The MAX accident was caused by a new design in the Boeing. So Boeing maintained the design of one famous and the most used aircraft in the world, the 737, and continued to modify it, stretch it, put bigger engine. When they got to the MAX, the question was, the engine required to power that airplane was so heavy that in maintaining the wing configuration, they had to create a software solution that compensated for the design. So we can't change the plane. We don't want to change the plane. We do not want to change the wings. But what we'll do is we'll create software that aerodynamically makes the adjustments required to make the airplane fly in the required air frame or aerodynamic configuration. That software failed in all of the MAX incidents. So the question is, if humans were in control and they saw that the machine was doing the wrong thing, were they trained? That's the real question that arose. Were they trained adequately to make the right decisions to compensate for the machine? Or do we go by the Airbus model, if this was an Airbus, where the software is already wrong and it is going to do the wrong thing regardless? This is a critical question when we talk about who is better in managing safety, man or machine. The machine is already wrong from the get-go, and that's the design that followed from those incidents. And man was supposed to make the adjustment when the machine failed. But so your question is, none is better. Aviation is safe. This is the first accident in an airplane that's been around for more than a decade. So the machines are safe, but there is no such thing as absolute safety. Something will go wrong, and what aviation does is learn from those things. So it is not a matter of when you see Boeing on your air booking, you say, no, I want an Airbus.
I was almost getting to that point where I'd ask my...
We already have a shortage of aircraft that we don't have that option.
I was almost getting to that point where I'd insist that, look, as we won't book me, make you book me for Airbus, I beg. Because apart from what you just said, I think it's also... There's an indication that Boeing also has some other management and whatever problems. Whether it translates to that or not, I don't know. But I'm a regular YouTube person. I like seeing reviews of planes and so on and so forth. And in recent times, like in the past 365 days, there have been complaints galore about Air India in terms of the cleanliness of the cabin. Sometimes there was one flight that the air conditioner didn't work or something like that. There have been complaints about the minor little things. I'm one of those who believes that if you don't pay attention to the little things, the bigger things will pass you by. Is there any nexus between this and the crash that happened?
Well, one thing you have to be certain of is that if you fly Air India, you probably cannot escape the smell of curry in the cabin.
Oh, God.
And so So it now depends on how much you like curry and garlic.
And the fat.
And garlic. So, but you're right. It's always about the little things, and I keep emphasizing that.
Yes.
I always walk by and I see my domestic staff who walk past paintings that are a 1 degree angle, and I try to teach them that until you get the little things right, you will never get the big things right. And so that is the situation. But, air conditioners break down on many flights, We've had Dana where the door opened on landing, and you...
Well, I was coming to Dana because I think Dana then was owned by, or the airline was promoted by Indians. And so...
Would that be a coincidence?
When you put these things together, is there any need to worry? I'd like you to put our mind at rest that it's just a coincidence. And it's not just the air conditioner. Seats torn, cabin, the upper luggage, whatever. One of them keep falling open, not properly locked. And sorry,
the air track.
The air track, yes. I don't know these terms. I just know where I put my load off. And little complaints. If you the food, name it. But is there a need to worry? Yes.
If you put sardines in a can,
yes,
they only have to sit there until somebody opens the can. It's the same thing, When you get on board an airplane, you pray. The first thing you do is you sit in your seat and pray. But you're always comforted by the fact that the safety record is superior to any other. It is more dangerous to go by car. It is even more dangerous to walk on the street or ride a bicycle. Flying is safe. It is not something you have to worry about. And I make that joke of the sardines, is that once you get on board, you have no opinion to the captain. There's no opinion to the first officer. You just have to trust on the quality of the airline that you choose. There's an issue around quality of the airline that you choose. And it would lead probably to further discussions on other subjects. But I assure you, flying is safe, and it's still the safest means of transportation. The regulators are on top of their game, and we should never worry when we get onto an airplane.
Okay, let me...
Absolutely. Yes, I think I agree with him there that the regulators are on top of the game. Air transport is the safest, and I don't want us to have this erroneous impression of equating safety issues with Indians. That's not a fact. Again, Air India is a very old airline that was once owned by government and now has now been bought over. They tried a long time to see who could buy it. Finally, the Tata family came up and they've invested in the airline. The aircraft in question is not an old aircraft; it's a new aircraft. And in the industry, we hate to speculate. But let's be patient and wait for the investigators. Luckily, they've gotten the CVR and the other recorders that can be used to investigate. And what I liked about Airbus issued a statement and said safety is paramount and it's not a time for anybody to look at competitive advantage, but it's time to rally around and ensure that the industry is safe for all travelers.
But why did they have to say that? Could that be a political statement?
Well, it was.
It could be sarcastic.
They are the Paris air show, and the first question they threw at the airman was that aircraft accident, and he just came up and to quickly defend and not make it look as if we are going to use that as a marketing tool.
I can smell sarcasm when I know sarcasm.
It is sarcastic. It is.
There you go, Alex. I think there was sarcasm involved. Okay, we'll have to take a short break. Wow, half the program is done. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll look again. I'll ask Alex and Olumide a few questions. Then we'll go to the issue of earpiece and Senator Oshomole. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
With all the stories that make the news,
the headlines,
the caption,
the breaking news, details of the stories.
Let's talk about these and more on 99.3.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. You are are listening to your number one station for talk.
99.3 Nigeria Info.
99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
I don't know, man. These days, all you hear is save, invest, save, Wait, how do you guys find this money? Is it not someone that is settled that will have money to save and invest? And even if I manage to invest or save, the interest rates are so low. And one can lose money in all these crypto, NFT, blockchain, and so on.
Introducing Fund 724. It's a simple solution to all your money goals. With as low as 1,000 naira or that urgent 2K in your pocket, you can start saving with Fund 724 and earn solid returns on your investment. And you can withdraw your money from your account for free. Anytime you like, just dial *724# on your mobile phone and follow the prompts.
Oh, so no need to download an app or join a long queue, huh?
Dial *724# now to get started. Fund 724 is available 24/7. Guarantee Trust Fund Managers is a subsidiary of Guarantee Trust Holding Company PLC and regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Start your children's day with a great taste of Ovaltine, enriched with multi-nourishment, calcium, malt, and vitamin B12 to support learning and playtime. Ovaltine, smart choice for smart kids.
My ions, please, can't get enough. My ions, please, give it to me now. It go rehydrate you, yeah. Replenish your ions with Pocari Sweat. Rehydrate you faster, easy, we observe. Pocari Sweat, give me some more. Pocari Sweat.
One day now, one day. What no go rest day. Say you still fit go on holiday. Make you know they complain. Retire in grand style. Make it worth your while. Choose a partner that will stress you out. Let's shape your future. Access ARM is working for you. Access ARM is investing for you. To live a life that you dream for you. We don't go for your head.
Let's help you shape the future you deserve. Access ARM Pensions. Future shaping.
Every day is about winning with one play on Nigeria Info. On Nigeria Info, daily winnings is now over 150,000 naira. Just go to oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Play with as little as 500 naira, and in a few seconds, your ticket is in the draw. The more you play, the better your chances of winning every day on the Morning Crossfire, What's Up Lagos, and Game On shows on weekdays, and the Football Frenzy shows on weekends. But that's not all. Every Friday, there will be a 500,000 naira jackpot. Playing during the week automatically qualifies you for the weekly jackpot. Your chances of winning are the same whether you play on oneplay.ng or dial *347 *880 *3#. Remember to play responsibly. Not suitable for persons under the age of 18. OnePlay is a registered trademark under Lasho Trading Services Limited, licensed by the Lagos State Lotteries and Gaming Commission.
Did you know you can post your job vacancies on Jobberman for free?
Free? Really?
Yes! Through the Young Nigeria Works initiative, in partnership with Jobberman and the MasterCard Foundation, you can list jobs at zero cost.
And reach over 3 million job seekers?
Absolutely! Plus, you get smart tools to manage applicants and boost your brand.
Visit www.jobberman.com/employer/free-listing to post jobs for free today.
Hire right with Jobberman.
Now so I did on my own. Now a message enter my phone. Fiam. I can't click am. Fiam. Now so my money for account go. Fiam. Hey, if to say na Airtel you dey use, dem for first alert you before you click am. Airtel dey identify spammers, then alert dem customers with AI-powered service to make sure say you no fall mugu for wuruwuru scam messages. No charges, no subscription needed. Me sef dey go join Airtel. Fiam.
Airtel, a reason to imagine. Success is like a big mansion. You only see the magnificent edifice, not the strong foundation that holds it. Likewise, in the world of e-payments, you only see transactions done and funds remitted. But who pioneered these financial technology solutions? Well, you knew it as Value Card, now Unified Payments, Nigeria's premier financial technology service provider. Yes, it starts here. Find out more at www.up-ng.com.
Unified Payments, unifying businesses for people.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
You're listening to Jimi Disu, right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Right, welcome back. We have Alex Nwoba and we have Olumide Onwayo, and we are discussing developments in the aviation industry. Back to Alex. Alex, can you hear me?
I'm very much here.
Oh, thank you. How the guy who survived? How did that happen? Is it something?
Well,
should I refer it to any of the pastors that I know, or can you give a technical explanation? How did that guy survive?
The first question I asked when this incident happened was,
yes,
where was he sitting? We have found
11A.
historically
yes,
that the safest I know the seat number. The safest place to sit in an aircraft is over the wings or at the tail, because an airplane coming down will hit usually nose first. And so the greatest impact will be in the expensive business and first class section, and then usually the tail would follow. If you look at this incident and many other incidents, this is what typically happens. So I believe that he was just fortunate for 241 people to die and one person to survive. It just wasn't his time.
We need to refer it to the pastors. It's not an aviation thing. It's not. But what also surprised me, Olumide, is that the guy was said to have just stood up and,
Yeah, well, like Alex said, he was hit by the overwing, and when the aircraft landed and broke, it was easy for him to come out because the overwing door had pulled out. And like he said when he opened his eyes, he just saw the corpses of the cabin crew that were in front of him and his fellow passengers. He just pushed them away and stepped out of the aircraft and walked away. And that was how he walked away. And if you look at that video again, what they were trying to hold him was just waving everybody away. But
yes, he must have been in a state of shock.
Yes, and today he's still in the hospital.
Do you think that guy will ever fly again?
Well, he should. That's what
he certainly will.
But it's going back to London.
Will.
It's going back to London. It's not based in India.
Friends.
It's going back to London. It's going back to London. So he will definitely fly again. But again, I also have to have sympathy for the doctors who were having their lunch.
Yeah, we forget.
We forget. So there are about 24 of them now who died from that aircraft.
Yeah, you are saying something, Alex. Do you think the guy will be able to fly again?
He certainly will. I have had friends who have been in crashes, even in Nigeria, who still fly, and they're thankful that they survived the incident. And it's a memory for them. It's scary, but they still fly today, and they fly. And one of them is a spokesperson on television, and he does talk about his incident. So he certainly will.
I interviewed a lady too. Yeah. Okay.
And by the way, he's probably not a Christian too. So I don't know why you refer only to pastors.
Alex, his wife and children are still in England, so and the parents, so he has to get back to England.
Yes, he'll be in a hurry. But I heard, there's been a flow of all kinds of things, but I'm hearing something like he has been arrested.
That's news to me.
Yes, I think I saw that 4 or 5. I think on the mail. I need to confirm that.
Arrest. Probably just. I'm not sure if it's out of the hospital yet.
Well, not taken to the police station.
Okay, but maybe arrested. Maybe they will need him to have some
again
arrest.
Because the naughty people are coming up with all kinds of theories and How would you sabotage a plane you are in? You would never have known you'd be able to walk out anyway. I don't think, except it was in some kind of bubble. Anyway, I hope we are safe back home here. Alex, are we safe?
Like I said, the air travel sector is the safest means of travel. So the word safe is underlined in that sentence.
Let me ask this.
Airplanes have so many safety features built into them, what you call redundancies.
Yes.
So when one system fails, another one takes over.
Okay,
but there comes a time when, yes.
Let me ask the Secretary General of the Aviation Roundtable, by your own estimation, what are the problems you are facing in the aviation industry now, if any? Well, is there anything for us to worry about? I'm putting you on record.
Not about safety. The regulators are on top of their game. We are with all certifications that are required. ICAO, we are pushing the ICAO category 1 now that we lost before. But I think what is worrying now for you and for me is the airfares.
Oh yes, that's worrying.
And the ability. What you have noticed is that most of the airlines have shrunk in their fleet capacity, which has reduced the number of flights available, has caused delays, cancellations, and increased fares. And when all these are happening, the average number of passengers flying has reduced drastically to what we had in the past.
Is that going to affect the operations? Surely it will. Yes, because it might not be economic. I think that's probably the problems that Airpeace would have. They've been complaints about their cancellations and
almost
things
all
like that.
The airlines
almost cancellations. So my theory is that, of course, they'll want that anytime the flight is on the move, it should be profitable. Is that have I used the right words?
No.
Okay, so I defer to you.
No, not really. It's not about every airline that is established has a primary goal of being a profitable organization. That's why they're understandably. But then, when it comes to the flight itself, you have your schedule integrity to keep. So once you have put your schedule that you are supposed to move at a particular time, then you stick to that time. And if you can't, it's advisable you give your passengers enough notice to make alternate plan, or you make alternate plan for them. And that has what has been causing the issues within the industry for some time now. Like I said earlier on, there's been the reduction in the fleet capacity of most of the airlines, and that reduction has reduced services, has brought about some of these cancellations and delays.
But what's this brouhaha between the Senator Oshiomhole and the Airpeace? I mean, the minister has been kind enough to set up a proper probe so we get. But in the interim, can you tell me what's flying? What's going on?
Well, the both sides have made their statements,
and they're contradicting each other.
Now, for Airpeace, bottom line, Senator Oshiomhole came late for his flight, and as at the time came, I arrived at the airport. The boarding time had closed, and the boarding time, the counter had closed, and the airline was already prepared to board passengers, and he was late, and that was why they would not take him. And in not taking him, the senator first saw him standing on the carousel, which was the carousel that's meant to move the baggage of passengers.
He stood on that. Did FAN confirm that? They should have CCTV.
Maybe this is part of what the investigation is going to check. From the pictures we saw, he was standing on that carousel where they put baggage.
You shouldn't stand on a carousel. Nobody does that.
Then the second picture was him sitting down, blocking the entry into the terminal of that airport. So these are the issues at stake now.
Who is supposed to take control of such a situation? FAN?
The aviation security of the airport. Yes, FAN security.
Well, we haven't heard anything from them.
Well, maybe that's
they just stood.
That's what we're having. That's what we're having investigation now. That's what they call for the investigation now, and we just hope something would come out of it. But somewhere along the line, the NCA made a statement on this, and the director of consumer protection who made that statement withdrew that statement barely 12 hours after. And that
what did he what statement?
The first statement he made was that the airlines will not wait for anybody.
Yes,
there's a time you're supposed to arrive at the airport for your checking at the counter, and once you don't come in at that time, you are late and you'll not be taken. And thereafter,
but he said he checked it online. Though this morning again, there seems to show some document from Airpeace which showed that he, according to that document, that he didn't check in online.
Even if he checked in online, you can still check in online and come to the airport late. There was a passenger on that Indian flight that crashed. A lady, she checked it online in India, got to the airport 10 minutes. She said she was held by the traffic, and she was begging to get on that ill-fated flight, and she didn't get on that flight. She checked it online, but got to the counter 10 minutes after the counter had closed.
I know that airfares can be fluid, but can't we have a regulation that at least standardizes these airfares? Because according to him, and according to recording by some two other passengers, that if he had to go on the next flight, he will have to pay more.
So when an airline offers you that to put you on the next flight, you will pay more. You invariably have been termed guilty, and you missed that flight on your own volition, not on.
Because
not
Airpeace
on
claimed that
yes.
the plane itself had half of the seats. Half of the seats were empty.
They said no, but not half. But said there were some empty seats.
Empty seats, yes.
I think that was to cover that notion that they were overbooked, and that was why it was not carried. That's what that story came about. That well, we were not overbooked. We had some seats left on, but you see, comrade, for me, it was a day he allowed a bad guy to become a good guy with his actions and anger. Because considering his stature, his person, and his position,
there was no need for
he would have just taken that case, used the appropriate executive and legislative instrument available to him to help the industry discuss the issue of aircraft delays and passengers boarding delayed and passengers who have their ticket and not been carried. I think that was a golden opportunity that his actions, the actions he took when he was angry, as thrown away. Again, you see, when you come to the issue of that checking online, when you check in online, it's not automatically you're going to board. You still have to get to the airport
to be identified. Yes,
to be
documented as a solo board,
as a passenger before go through the boarding process. For some countries, you don't have to go to the counter again if you have printed your boarding pass. But if you have not printed your boarding pass, you have to go to the counter and start the process of getting your boarding pass. Then you now proceed to the boarding gate.
But some countries you don't have a boarding pass. Sorry,
I'd like to dive in because there's a lot of things that are completely misconstrued.
Okay.
First of all, I would like to start with the statement that most of what I have heard is falsehood on all the parties' part. Falsehoods. Let's start with when Ibom Air stated that when you check in online, you don't go to the counter, which is typical of an online check-in. You print your boarding pass after you checked in, or you capture it on your phone and you present it at the boarding gate, not at the check-in counter. So that in itself presents some issues that we must address. So I say it's falsehood, but behind all this falsehood, it's also falsehood to say that Oshiomhole was standing on the carousel, because the carousel is not at the check-in counter. The carousel is when you have actually passed through the thing and you're on arrival. It could be on the weighing machine, okay? But then there's usually more than one weighing machine and more than one counter that he could not have truly prevented people from checking in on the flights. Let me tell you what the real problem is. The real problem is a problem of training. When you have an encounter with a disruptive or angry passenger, appropriate training says that you de-escalate. You do not escalate. And one thing I found consistent in this industry is that when things go wrong, rather than de-escalate, airline staff escalate. And the next thing you see are people breaking computers, throwing bags at people. You even see airline crews boxing. I'm not speaking to the specific airline position of Airpeace. You see airline staff boxing the passengers, people fighting with each other, and security personnel being onlookers. So the fundamental problem here was training.
And when that training went wrong, rather than this press point-to-point argument of I did this, I didn't do that, you did that, you didn't do that, this matter could have been resolved with a very simple apology, usually to the customer. You know, the customer is always right. The basic principle in business. And any business that wants to sustain, maintain, and improve its relations with the customer must take a stance of the customer is always right, even when he's wrong. I remember when British Airways, something happened to me, something spilled on me on British Airways, and the cabin crew apologized, gave me a coupon that when I get there, they will fix my clothing, they will do this. They made all kinds of promises, and I calmed down. When I got down, I presented the coupon, they deflected me, and nobody did anything for me. Yeah. So it is part of the training. Now, so Ochiomole checked in online. He says that. We have no proof to say he didn't check in online. Yes. He came to the counter. They said he was representing other people. Oshiomhole, His Excellency, distinguished, is a politician. His job is to serve and help the masses. So if he says, people say, don't leave us in this situation, help us out of it, you clearly can see why he needed to inject himself into the process. Then to remove him from the process, he said an offer was made to him, Oga, don't worry, we'll take care of you. But don't worry about poor masses. Will also take care of them. But he wasn't satisfied that was what was going to go wrong, and the situation escalated. Why did it escalate? He claimed that there were empty seats as subject to investigation. He claimed it is always a fact that when you miss your flight, you pay more. Why did this all go wrong? Somebody said that when they denied her boarding, they were still selling tickets. Well, again, another falsehood, like I said, because you do not sell tickets at the check-in counter. Where you sell the tickets is some distance away. So that is factually wrong. What has really happened again was a perception issue. She saw people being checked in. It may be for her flight or another flight. And they reacted to that because they missed their flight. In their case, different from Oshiomole's case, they needed to check in. And there comes a time when you must close check-in so that the bags can get to the aircraft. The people can go through security and get to the boarding gate so there are no delays. It's bad enough that we say, I want to emphasize that point. We say Air Peace is always late and always canceling. And the joke of it really is that if we are going to do all this to people that come to the airport late, what do we do to airlines that keep people on the ground for 8 hours or more? But that is a side comment. The fact is that this flight had to close at a certain time for people to get through security and get to the gate. Oshiomhole should have been at the boarding gate. And we mix it up. I watched his interview, and he too had a problem differentiating from the boarding gate and the check-in counter. And so these are all the obfuscations that have taken place that will be resolved in an investigation when the true facts will be known. But the point is, at this point, there is so much confusion.
Yes, I'm confused.
There's so much misstatements of facts. Yes.
But what I got from all that is, like you said, training. And they could have been de-escalated. Very quickly, you have just about 2-3 minutes. We've seen a lot of improvements at least in the aesthetics of the airport. Have there been improvement in operations? Are the Aviation Roundtable happy with the new minister?
Well, we do not deal with minister, we deal with the industry. And for us in the industry, like I said earlier on, we still expect some expansion.
But you do acknowledge a lot of improvement, at least in the aesthetics of the airport and the operations, some part of the operations, not on airlines, part of airlines. I'm talking of immigration
what we can acknowledge for now is that we appreciate its effort in taking Nigeria to the international community, helping with the
what do you mean is effort? When you say effort, has the effort yielded fruits or it hasn't?
Well, there's always a process. It has started.
When you say effort,
no, the process has started.
When you say effort,
no, it's signing of the IDERA for the repositioning of aircraft. What he has done with the CTC, that has helped our carriers to have access to leasing aircraft, and when you have access to this leasing of aircraft, that gives them more opportunity, more ways to get aircraft for their services. But for now, as he has done that, we also expect the airlines to also use the window he has opened to improve services for the Nigerian consumers.
This is the first program I'm going to do, if I remember, in a long, long time. I haven't picked a call, and I have just 2 minutes to go. So let me.
Is there a call coming in?
Yes, there's a call coming in. So let me just quickly pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, the one and two.
Quickly.
Quick one. I want to thank whoever stopped that at the international airport going to arrival. When you come out from the car park, you present your ticket. There's some guys under that bridge, the new terminal. They will ask you to pay 2,000 naira. If your passenger is not ready, you turn back to come back to that spot. They will charge you 2,000.
Okay.
But thank God, those set of boys are no more there again.
Okay,
Whoever
thank you.
stopped that, I want to say bravo.
Thank you very much. Can I take one more call, Sheriff, please? Just one more, quickly. Hello? Oh, that's it. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Quickly, just go straight to your point.
The government says that all of them, they are all wrong. So both
Who says they're all wrong?
Yes, they have their own fault. There is a way you talk to somebody, even though the person will not get angry. If the person will get angry, will not get angry.
Oh,
that
okay.
is the case of it.
Okay, all right. I get it. Yeah. We got to go. It doesn't seem to, but we got to go. Thank you very much, Alex. I was going to ask you a quick question, but you can't even answer it. But next time we come, it's the first question I'm going to ask you. Which one is safer, to go with an established airline or to go in a private jet? Yeah, which one would you consider being safer? I have a fair private jet anyway.
Is it today or next time?
Next time, Alex. That's an
I hope you saw that video of the politician praying when the private jet was making the return.
Was he praying or backing?
and the pilot was saying, I have a disruptive passenger on board.
Honestly, I didn't know we got the gagra at the end of the day. Well, person we see this. Thank you very much. Olumide Wayo is the General Secretary of Aviation Roundtable. And thank you very much, Dr. Alex Nwobi, who is the President, Aircraft Owners and Association, and is also a pilot. Thank you very much. That's why we'll end our program for today. I'd like to thank you all for listening. I'd like to thank Sheriff for being here also, listening quietly, trying to discern. Next time, bye. How would I go about it? But the truth is, there is discipline in going by air. And the one discipline as a passenger you always must have is to make sure you get there 1 hour before that flight closes. 1 hour. Give yourself enough time. For a 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock flight, I usually get to the airport at 6:30. For when you want to travel by air, you need to give. It's not a thing of now coming to tell us a story of how you paid 500,000 for a room in one super duper hotel and miss your flight. That's not what the issue is all about. Olumide, thank you very much. Alex, God bless. I'll see you all tomorrow at 9. Bye.
.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.